Alex.
All right, thank you so much, Ritika. Well, let's get more on the deepening ties between Saudi Arabia and China. We are joined now by Ali Shihabi. He's an advisory board member for Saudi Arabia's NEOM project, a city that's currently under construction in northwestern Saudi Arabia that aims to become a new global tourist hotspot. Ali, it's a pleasure to talk to you on this. What's the biggest significance of this China-Saudi Arabia meet?
Well, it's a culmination, really, of a 5-year buildup in a strategic relationship, a very important strategic relationship. So if you want, this is the cherry on the cake. This sort of solidifies and formalizes what has become and what, in fact, was signed today as a comprehensive strategic agreement between Saudi Arabia and China. As you said in your newscast, China is the largest customer of Saudi oil. Hence, a very important counterparty for Saudi Arabia. It's a major investor in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a major investor in China. And, the kingdom now is pursuing a more multipolar foreign policy, where it wants to build strategic relationships with major powers, in addition to the United States, like China, like India, more with Europe, France, and England, and even Russia on the oil, in the oil market. So this is all part of a developing strategy that is really irreversible, I think.
What does that mean for the relationship with Washington, D.C., though, which has become increasingly strained, yet the kingdom relies on the United States in many ways for its security? How does that relationship change if we are moving to a multipolar view of the world in the kingdom?
Well, it has changed because of American actions and American signals, and America has been signaling for years that it's going to pivot from the region, that it has lost a bit of interest in the region. This does not mean that the Saudi-U.S. relationship is not critical for Saudi Arabia. It's very important, and it'll continue. But it's a more patchy relationship because of the vagaries of domestic U.S. politics, really. So I think when it comes to reliability, even on the security front, I think the message that Saudi Arabia has gotten from the United States is that the security umbrella is there, but it's not 100% reliable. And so Saudi Arabia has to hedge a little bit to build relationships with other powers in the world to fill in those gaps.
We were talking earlier to Ruchir Sharma, who said that the longer-term effect is going to be potentially pricing commodities and trade not in dollars. And obviously, we've already seen this happen at the margin. But a Saudi and Chinese relationship where they can really do that and pay for stuff not in dollars would be enormous. Do you expect that to continue to happen? How does that unfold?
That may happen in the future. I don't see that happening immediately. I don't see that happening, in the near future. But it is a logical development, really, because, as Saudi Arabia's largest customer, China has a lot of leverage. And the kingdom additionally imports a large amount of Chinese exports. So inevitably, something like that will come along.
What does China bring to Saudi Arabia? What does Saudi Arabia feel it needs from this relationship in terms of its development?
Well, first of all, as I said, it's the largest customer of Saudi Arabia's lifeblood,
sure.
Which is. But then China is also a supplier of niche military products. It supplied Saudi Arabia with ballistic missiles, 30 years ago when the U.S. was unwilling to do so, and it's in the process of upgrading those missiles now. It supplies Saudi Arabia with drones, again, which the U.S. is unwilling to supply. So I think now Saudi Arabia will diversify its military relationships more into Europe, more into France, and more into the UK, where it has, long-term, extensive, existing military relationships. But China will complement that. And now, obviously, China has a lot of weight. It has a very strong relationship with Iran, and so it is seen as being able to exert a positive influence of Iran. It's in China's utmost interest to have a stable, Persian Gulf, because that's where the Chinese get over 50% of their oil.
Sorry to interrupt, Ali, if we end up in a situation where you have to choose, where we get into spheres of influence, how will the kingdom play it? Will it side with the West, with Europe and the United States, or increasingly will it look to China?
Well, I don't think the kingdom is going to try to get boxed into that. I mean, again, like many other countries, and you've seen that with the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. The kingdom maintains excellent relationships with Ukraine, but it does not want to get boxed into being an enemy of Russia, really, when it requires Russian cooperation in OPEC Plus, because Russia is the second largest user of oil in the world. So I think the kingdom will do its best to avoid getting boxed into that choice.
Ali, we're going to leave it there. Really useful insight. Thank you very much indeed. Ali Shihabi, NEOM Project Advisor Board Member. Thank you very much indeed, sir. This is Bloomberg.